Johnny's calling from California. Pronouns are he, him. Thank you so much. Johnny wants to tell us why he believes in God. First question I have, Johnny, and then we'll let you get to it, is, do you think that your reason for believing God is one that we should also convince us, or is it just one that convinced you?
Good morning. This is my first time calling, and I am new to your show. I just started last week. First, I just want to say thank you for you guys, what y'all do, open a communication between everyone. I love this. And to answer your questions, for me, is something, my reasons, what I've seen, what I've experienced is what made me believe, and hopefully I can just share it. Not trying to convert, not trying to convince, but it's what made me.
Johnny?
Hello?
The question I asked was, is this merely the reason that you believe, or do you think that we should also believe for this reason?
It's what made me believe.
Okay. This is not a show for you to call in and preach or give your personal testimony. You can call into a Christian show and do that. This is a show. Why are you talking? This is a show where you call in and defend, present what you believe and why. And in particular, I started the show by pointing out that it needs to be a reason why you think others should believe it too, like why we should believe. Because if God revealed himself to you privately, clearly that does me no good, right?
Of course.
So what good would it be for you to explain to me that why you believe if it's not a reason for me to believe?
As I was trying to say, it's it's not a personal experience. It's not like God just appeared towards me and be like, believe in me, or that I pray for some keys. No, it's from what I've questioned, what I studied, from reading the Bible and from everything I see, is what I want to say, like why
Johnny,
there is a God.
Wow, I don't know why this is so difficult. This is not the personal testimony show. This is the defend your belief show. Oh my God.
I am defending my belief.
Why are you fucking talking? I'm trying to explain this to you. You have a reason for believing, and you don't think that reason should convince me or Owen. Is that correct?
No, I hope it's to convince you guys.
Okay, then present the reason that you would hope would convince the rest of us. That's the purpose of the show. That's what I asked from the beginning. Is this just why you believe, or is this why you think other people should believe? And you suggested that it wasn't why you think other people should believe, that it was just why you believe. If you think we should believe, present the reason why you think we should believe in God.
Well, first, if we go towards the science of it, we can actually see, as in the Bible, in the book of Psalm, it talks about how God created us through DNA, and it's even stated.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The Bible does not mention DNA at all.
And Psalm 139:15, and my frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, integrated, woven in the depths of the earth.
139:15. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and intricately woven in the depths of the. I don't understand. What does that have to do with DNA? That's completely unconnected.
That's actually speaking about DNA, how he created us.
It doesn't mention DNA. You are looking at it, and because you already know about DNA, you are inserting. This isn't exegesis, it's intergesis. You are inserting your understanding into the Bible when it doesn't say that at all.
That's a good point.
I'm not seeing it at all. Like, not even a little. I'm not even sure how you got there. This has nothing. This isn't even connected to DNA, like, in any way. I can't even, like, stretch it to kind of fit that. So I'm not sure where you got it from.
From, like I said, from growing up and reading through it. But then I could still move on towards, as we all know, like, Jesus was the real person. Now, has he done?
So here's the thing. You started by thinking that you had a science, something in the Bible was scientifically confirmed. It wasn't. Yeah. Also, the order of events in the creation story in Genesis does not match what the science shows. So after we already objected to the science, why would your next argument, is your next argument better?
No, if we go back to the order of,
I'm sorry, is your next argument better?
Oh, I hope so. For me, it's better.
Then why didn't you start with that? Why didn't you start with your best argument?
For me, I thought proof of DNA would have been the best argument.
So you thought it was best, and now we've shown it's not the best. You're hoping this one's the best.
Yes.
Okay. What's the next one?
Well, if we go for, as you mentioned, on the order of events when it comes to the creationism, it still shows the same as the Big Bang. When God said, "Let there be light,"
no, it doesn't.
Big Bang,
the order of events in the creation account does not match science. In Genesis, the order is a beginning, a primitive earth in darkness, and then light, and then an expanse or atmosphere, and then dry land, and then land plants, and then the sun, the moon, and the stars, then sea monsters and flying creatures, then wild and tame beasts and mammals, and then man. But the real order is that there was a beginning, then light, then sun and stars, then a primitive earth, moon, and atmosphere, then dry land, then sea creatures, then some land plants, then land creatures, then flying creatures, then mammals, then birds, fruiting plants, and man and more. Your Bible has things in the wrong order that don't match the order of science. It has an earth that exists before there's light, which does not match the science, Big Bang or otherwise.
So, look, we've just kind of poked a couple of holes in your arguments here. Does that kind of change your perspective on this at all? Like, now that, let's say hypothetically, you were completely incorrect about the DNA thing and about the order of creation thing. Are you still a believer? And if so, why wouldn't that move you over? Like, if those things were invalidated, why do you still believe this? Did we lose you?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Why do sorry, I was thinking about the question first. Have to listen and because with everything.
Go ahead. Yeah? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, with everything that been going on and happening and we can see it from the history in the Bible, and it shows us it showed us the right way to be living, and plus the beautiful creation around the earth. God, I'm so nervous.
So hang on, Johnny, and I apologize. I bet Owen's getting ready to say exactly this.
No, you're good. Go.
So you start with the Bible talks about DNA, and then we showed it doesn't talk about DNA. Yeah. Then we move on to the order of creation, which you think it got right, and then we show that it doesn't get it right. And now you're saying it's because of all the things we've seen, and the Bible showed us the right way to live. Is slavery the right way to live? Is it right for women to be inferior and second-class citizens?
Of course, slavery was not the right way to live, and of course,
the Bible not supposed to live there. The Bible advocates for slavery and holds women as second-class citizens. They can't own property to the same extent. They don't have the same rights as men. Their value and testimony isn't the same, and their requirements are not the same. And that's just the beginning. But absolutely, the Bible endorses slavery. So what does the Bible teach us about living right that you think is enough to conclude that there's a God?
So when we go to the slavery part, which I love how you bring it up, that was actually a real thing that happened during that time, which is great that the Bible shows it, because it shows like during the earth we were living in, something bad did happen. God didn't endorse it.
Yes, he does.
I would say God. It's not that he endorsed it, but he gave regulations when it comes to it. If you guys going to do this, you guys going to do this right.
Okay. It was so God's saying if you want to do this, you're going to do it right. Why doesn't God say that about rape? Yeah.
We're going to hold up on the rape part?
No, I'm saying, listen and think. Yes. You're saying that God decided if you guys are going to engage in slavery, which is morally wrong, instead of saying it's morally wrong and prohibiting it, I'm going to say, go ahead and do it, but I'm going to add some regulations. Why doesn't God do the same thing for rape and say, you guys are going to go ahead and do it anyway, so I'll just add some regulations on it? By the way, he does, but.
Yeah, he does. But I thought I can't even answer that one today. Like my whole thing was on the slavery part right now.
Okay. Does the Bible tell you who to enslave, how you can enslave them, how much to pay for them, how to trick your Jewish slaves into being permanent slaves, how to treat your Gentile slaves, that you can beat them as long as they don't die within a couple of days, and that they are your property that you can pass on to your kid? Does the Bible advocate for all of those things?
Yes, the Bible has all those things, and yes, it was all from
are all of those things. Are all of those things immoral?
Yes, all of those things are immoral.
Were those things sanctioned by God?
Yes, those things were sanctioned by God.
So you are saying that God sanctioned immoral things. How is that different from the devil? How do you know that God is the good one? How do you know that God is the good one and the devil is the evil one?
Well, God gave us the free will, and we're the one who decided on slavery. God in the same book.
No. God specifically says you shall buy your slaves from the heathen that surround you, and you've just said that instead of saying this is forbid, did God forbid mixed fabrics and shellfish? Did God forbid lying? Did God forbid murder?
God forbid killing, not murder.
No, he didn't. Yes. No, he didn't. You're wrong. God forbid murder, not killing. You have to kill to eat.
Exactly. Kill to eat. But if you say murder, then we're just murdering animals for nothing. Henceforth, it's killing.
No.
Oh, no, sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You are right.
I know I'm right. You got it reversed in your head. So here's the thing.
Yes, I got it reversed in my head. Yeah, sorry about that.
I already got it. You don't have to keep telling me. We already got it. So if God can outlaw slavery, if God can outlaw murder, why can't he say, thou shalt not own another human being as property?
And that's why Jesus came in, trying to push us away from that.
I'm sorry, no, Johnny. No, Johnny, no. This is the Old Testament. There is no Jesus. And by the way, Jesus never does anything to correct the Old Testament's views on slavery. So my question was, if God can say, thou shalt not bear false witness, why can't God say, thou shalt not own another human being as property?
Well, but before that one, God actually sent someone to free the slaves.
No, I'm sorry, Johnny. You have to focus and answer the question that I'm actually asking you and not keep deflecting. Because God didn't send somebody to free the slaves. God sent Moses to free the Israelites. That's special treatment for his chosen people. Then he tells the Israelites who they can enslave and how they can enslave them. But what I asked was, if God can say, thou shalt not bear false witness, and thou shalt not murder, why can't God say, thou shalt not own people's property? And instead, God says, thou shalt own people's property.
And on top of that, you've given us 3 reasons that you believe in God now. The third of which was it teaches us a moral way to live, but it doesn't, right? I mean, we've pretty much, that's the nail in the coffin. So that's the third reason that you had for accepting the Bible. But for the record, even if it did teach us a moral way to live, that wouldn't be reason to believe in all of the supernatural stuff around it. It would just, any of the good things that it does teach, those good things existed for like ever before the Bible. Like the golden rule is as old as time. So why do you believe in God? and accept the Bible and believe that it's the inspired word of God and all of that stuff, if we're not counting the three reasons that you've given so far. I'm pretty confident in saying that they've been invalidated. Are you confident? Are you happy with that, saying that those reasons are invalidated?
Yes.
Okay, so what is there another? Is it just like because you feel? Is it just like a feeling, or what is it?
No, it's not a feeling. For me, it was on discovery. But those three that I tried to put up, you guys shot it down. And as I said before, I grew up Catholic, but then my grandparents showed me another way, and then I had to question everything, so I had to restart. But now speaking to you guys, now I have to go and restart again.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I hope that you kind of
not
take
another. Yeah.
And to be fair,
go ahead.
What you're doing, what's happening right now with you, Johnny, is what happened with me, only mostly on my own because there wasn't a call-in show to actually engage with. So I had to ask myself the difficult questions. And my entire goal at the time that I found my way out was to be a better representative of Christ. Because my roommate was an atheist, and I was like, ooh, I don't want him to go to hell. I definitely don't want to get to heaven and have God say, why is this guy who you love like a brother burning in hell? Why didn't you tell him? Why didn't you share? And I knew that I had to have good reasons to defend it. And I used to come up with the exact same type of arguments and thoughts that you're coming up with. In part because of how I was raised. I just kind of believe the Bible. And even when the Bible's difficult, it was, well, that's because there's an error in there from humans, but underneath it's still God. And then the question is, how do you know that? If there's errors in it, how do you tell which ones are errors and which ones aren't? And what is the reason for thinking that any of it ties to an actual God? Do we have some sort of evidence for that outside? And I came up with nothing.
So you're going to reevaluate, you think? And I mean, if you have more reasons, we want to hear those reasons. It's just, we've been sitting here for years. I mean, Matt's been doing this for how long? Since 2000s, right? And we've heard all of the reasons, all of them. And pretty much, it's all the same.
But what we don't always hear is someone who's willing to be honest and say, hey, here's what I believe. And then when it's countered, go, oh, yeah. And good on Owen for highlighting that, because I'll tell you right now, in complete honesty, Johnny, I try not to get jaded. I genuinely just want to have a good conversation in the calls. But after 20 years, it didn't even occur to me to ask you to acknowledge that the arguments had been countered and that we needed to go back to the drawing board, because it almost never happens. And this is one of the reasons why I love having Owen on and doing the show with Owen, because Owen thought to ask that, because that's the right thing to ask. It's, are we making any progress? Did this make sense? So I guess the next question for you, Johnny, and we'd love to have you call back another time, is how do you think you're going to direct your search? Is it going to be, just how do you think you're going to direct your search next?
It's just by asking the right questions again, and then I have to start go back to all the other religions as I did before. For me, the only thing that brought me back to capitalism was like, so many people are willing to sacrifice their life because of what they believe and then going on. But like now I have to go right back and start back from the drawing board as I did before. Like, all right, now I got to go back to reread the Judaism, the Christianity, got to like go through books and research again.
Okay, interesting. I can appreciate that. However, I think that instead of like studying the religions and all that, so I think we should just consider if there's like a rational basis for any of it. Like, are you going to examine Islam? Are you going to examine like the Sikh religion? The Sikhs are a religion, right? The Jains. Why aren't you going to evaluate those others, but you are going to evaluate like Christianity, for example? Again, it feels like, it seems to me that you feel like there's something to it and there's bias there. where you don't feel like there's something to the others?
No, for me, there was something for the other. But then when I go back to the New Testament, Jesus says, "Be careful, for there are false prophets after me." And then that's when I had to scratch off the Quran, the Mormonism. But now I actually have to go back and.
Okay, yeah, but let's say that Christianity is incorrect, just hypothetically speaking. Let's say Jesus was just some guy, which we're evaluating now, right?
Yeah.
Why not evaluate the other religions in that case? And I posit to you, your reason for not evaluating the other religions is because you have a personal tie to this religion and are giving it more credence and more leeway than it deserves. If you took a step back and looked at this whole thing objectively, you would see that there is as much evidence for Christianity, Catholicism, or whatever, as there is for Islam, which is to say, none. What do you think?
I agree with you. Like, the first thing that I studied when I was like searching was in the Santeria, when it comes to the Haitian voodoo. Like, there was a time when I was like studying when it comes to the Greek mythos and the Norse mythos. Like, what about them? And I was actually at one point wanted to bring back the Greeks, because the Greek mythos, because they are gods that were created to be like men. They were not perfect. They were like just like men, and to me, I was like, oh, I want gods like that.
That is absolutely
like.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see any reason to believe it, though it's interesting. I appreciate kind of the archetype or whatever. Is that the right word? I appreciate that as a literary tool or whatever, but I don't feel like it's a good reason to like believe something,
I have other questions tied to this. You mentioned people dying. If someone is willing to die for a belief, that doesn't tell you whether or not it's true. And if many, many, many people are willing to die for a belief, that also doesn't tell you whether or not it's true. That's about how strongly they believe something. And the truth of a claim isn't impacted any way by how many people believe it, how strongly they believe it, how long they've believed it, how popular it is. So when it comes to the religion, and here's what partially what I did is I realized I didn't have good reason to believe what I believed, but I wasn't sure how to direct my search. And so I went and started learning more and more about philosophy in the hopes that I could figure out what kind of God might exist in order to better direct the search. If you're looking at things in the terms of how popular is it, how many people are willing to die, I don't see how that gets you to truth. And the big question is, let's say you come across a God belief that you find kind of compelling, because you just mentioned what kind of God you want to exist, which also the kind of God you
what
want
I wanted
to exist
before,
has no bearing on what God actually exists. I would rather there not be a God, or if there is, I'd rather there be a God of, I don't know, video games and sex and food, or I don't know. So how could you tell the difference if two people come to you and tell you that they believe in two different gods? They both believe really strongly. They're willing to die. They're absolutely convinced that this God has done a powerful work in their life. How can you tell which one of them's correct? And how do you tell if either of them is correct? Because they could both be wrong. You don't have to answer that now. That's just a question that I think is really good to focus on, because if you don't have a mechanism by which to tell the difference between a true claim and a non-true claim, you have no path to truth.
Oh, that hurt. Oh God, that was good.
Well, I hope it was useful, because it's where I got stuck.
Call back and let us know what you think.
Yep.
It's where you got stuck.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Johnny. I greatly appreciate this. You get, unless somebody calls in who's better, you get caller of the week, month, maybe even year. Who knows? But keep questioning.
Thank you. Y'all be safe.
Yep, you too.
I'll definitely.
See, here's the thing. If Johnny goes out and engages in the sort of critical thinking and skepticism, even anywhere near it, that you and I have engaged with and advocated for, if Johnny finds God, there's a good likelihood that Johnny will be able to explain how and why he found that God in a way that would help you and I find that God as well. And if he doesn't, then he'd call in and say, hey, I'm going down this route. And if we see an obvious error that we've seen, in ourselves or in other people doing this, then he gets to benefit from that. And so does everybody. Okay, Johnny's my favorite caller for today. Not that there was any stiff competition.
Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Did you know we saw what you were doing when you watched it?
We saw all of it. All of it. All of it. All of it.
So you're going to want to pay us hush money over at patreon.com/calltheline, where you can buy our silence and watch our patron exclusive podcast.